Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Galactic Wisdom show. Very happy to have with me today Laura and Roy. Thank you very much for being here, you two.
Hello.
Hi.
So we're actually recording this a month before it broadcasts because in the next few days I am heading off on a 2-month tour. And I'm sure you will have seen this before if you watch this Galactic Wisdom show, but this is my tour schedule. And if any of you like the look of where the tour is heading, then do please join the Patreon group that is shown at the bottom of the screen there, the Galactic Wisdom Patreon group. And this is a tour of me going around hosting contact events, alien contact events. So take a look at where those places are, and if any of them are close enough to you, from Devil's Tower to Skinwalker Ranch to Orlando, Florida to Memphis, Tennessee. If any of those places are close to you, then do please consider coming along. And all of the details can be found in the Galactic Wisdom Patreon group. Awesome. Now, for us in our time, Roy and Laura, we had about an hour ago a Galactic Council meeting. We astrally projected to the Galactic Council spacecraft. Do I have a picture of the Galactic Council spacecraft here? There it is. This is the craft that we astrally project to. And there's a region somewhere on top of that that's made of some kind of material that we can pass through astrally safely. And we go into that craft and we go into the inner chambers and we communicate with the Galactic Council there. Now, when we do this with a group of people and people start seeing the same things, then that adds a validity to our perceptions. That helps us to prove that what we're seeing is real. And both of you, I think I'm right in saying, both of you saw Pleiadians. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
Fantastic. Roy, would you like to go first and let us know what Pleiadians you saw and what were your impressions from them?
Certainly. I saw a male and female Palladian, the typical Nordic, dressed in white, blonde hair, bright blue eyes. Um, the question was posed if they would be visiting you during your tour, and what was presented to me that they're going to be with you throughout your entire tour as sort of protection, watching over you, not really going to interact with you, and just giving you glimpses of them uh, as a validation to you. But interacting with you at this time is not part of their mission. It would they inform me that it would distract you from your mission, and what you're to do in the next 2 months.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Laura, did you have any of the same perceptions as Roy?
Yes. I saw the Palladians there, like Nordic looking, blondish hair, bluish eyes, a male and a female, and that they will be watching. That is their job to watch. And I got also an understanding of like the guide or guard, like they're of guard of what you're doing. But I do agree with my feeling, what I'm feeling and knowing with what Roy has stated, that they are not to interfere with you because it will distract you. um I do see, like, it's not like I actual see the craft. I see like a light in between you moving from one point to the other, that part of there's a light coming past you'll see it at some point. My impression is, and knowing is, it's like it is a craft of some kind. But they themselves are also going to be presenting themselves as a glimpse, as Roy has stated.
Wow. Isn't that wonderful that you can both have the same psychic perceptions, receive the same basic message from them, that they're going to be with me on the tour. They're not going to present themselves like right in front of me because they don't want to distract me. That's interesting that, I feel like I would welcome that distraction, but who knows that maybe there's wisdom there that I don't understand. But they will be presenting themselves to me in ways that, although fleeting and tenuous, will be identifiable, will be clear to me.
Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. Thank you very much. Did either of you get any other interesting perceptions at all during that meeting that we just had, during the Galactic Council meeting?
Roy, you want to go first?
Ladies first.
Oh, you're so kind. I saw this place look like a volcano or like a mountain, and I couldn't really determine what it was. And as I continued to draw it, sort of is shaped like the Devil's Tower.
And you feel like you're seeing that maybe because something of significance might happen there?
Something is significant that might happen, possibility of happening. What, I have no clue.
Fascinating. Well, I look forward to being there. I think it's an extraordinary place, Devil's Tower. I highly recommend it to anybody going. Even when other parts of the country in the surrounding areas are plagued by mosquitoes, when I went up Devil's Tower, even though the terrain seemed to me to be mosquito terrain, there were no mosquitoes there. It was almost like the energy was too high, the vibrational state was too high for there to be bloodsuckers in that place. Or maybe there's alien mosquito repelling technology there. Now that would be something. That would be something I would like. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And Roy, was there anything else in the meeting that you felt was interesting?
Just the doors of the spacecraft. The very tall doors, silver, with gray, huge statues that were even taller than the doors. And actually, this was one of the first times I've witnessed other astral projectors. It wasn't part of our group.
Wow.
You saw some astral projectors to the Galactic Council ship that were from a different group.
Yeah, they were part of us.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Very cool. Now, today, my time, earlier today, I recorded with Laura. No, I didn't record. We broadcast an episode of Galactic Wisdom in which we talked about democracy. And it was a great show. I had some fascinating conversations. And I was going to talk about freedom as well, and we didn't have time. Roy, it's your fan. I thought you had a butterfly in the corner of your screen. It's like something going like this, flapping its wings.
My titmouse from outside.
Okay, sorry, I got distracted then. So I thought let's just do that now, because I feel like we were on a roll, and let's keep rolling. I want to talk about the subject of freedom, and I will talk a little bit, and then I will ask you if either of you have anything you want to chip in. Now, I was in a meeting the other day with a group of people. I can't remember exactly who was there. And I asked everybody the question, put up your hand or give me a thumbs up if you would like it, if you had the freedom to do anything you wanted to do. And you know what? Most people put up their hands. Most people thought, hey, I would love the freedom to do everything I wanted to do. And then I asked them the question, who here would like it if everyone else had the freedom to do anything and everything they wanted to do? And nobody put up their hands. And it seems to be a common perspective that freedoms are good when they're given to you because they benefit you, but they don't seem so good when they're given without restraint to the other people in our society, because we know that there are people out there who would immediately, given the opportunity, given the freedom, would be murdering, raping, stealing, torturing, and harming others. In order for us to have harmonious societies, to have moral societies, we can't have the freedom to do anything we want. Even if we as individuals feel like we are wise enough to have the restraint not to abuse our freedoms, we know that many other people in our society don't have that level of restraint. So, the idea, the concept of freedom, it sounds good, but we must have laws, regulations, restrictions. Otherwise, we'd be living in chaotic, lawless, hell-like societies. Freedom is not always good. I personally value the freedoms and the constraints upon my freedom that are required to protect the peace and the well-being and the happiness of our society. Would either of you like to comment on that?
I absolutely agree with you. Society, humans, generally in nature are violent, generally, as an opinion. Being in formal law enforcement, I've seen some of the worst of what a person can actually do and become, especially if they can't control their emotions. This is why when we raise our children, they have to have this control, because if we allow them to do whatever they want, of course, the future holds that how they will act as an adult. It would be a very, very chaotic situation. The danger to themselves, the danger to the public. I do value freedom, and also as well value that constraint of it, of that freedom. I think that gives us uh, a place of being more moral with what our decision making, our process. However, there's that fine line, of it being in control. That process of control of your freedom, that is a fine line too, and that in itself is a whole different topic, in my personal opinion.
Thank you very much, Laura. What do you think about this subject, Roy?
Depends on how you're defining freedom. From myself and my experience, what I've learned is that freedom is an illusion. While we're here in a physical body, the physical body has no freedom. It has to have nourishment, protection from the elements. The human body can't just go out and do what it wants and get ate up by mosquitoes. So there is constraints on the human body in order to survive. It requires an ego to survive. the fact that it is separate from everyone else creates a constraint that we're not free to do what we want. There's repercussions. There is the law of karma, if you will. What you put out comes back. There is constraint. For myself, freedom is found through my spirit in astral projecting and in passing and transitioning from the physical body. All the laws and rules and things that they're designed to protect people and other animals, everything else, that true freedom, just like unconditional love, has no conditions. True freedom has no constraints. If it does, then it's not freedom.
Right.
So the definition of freedom, to do whatever you want, wherever you want, to whomever you want, that's a choice. That with or without freedom, you can make that choice. It's the repercussions. Yeah, we all could have that freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, to whomever we want, but there are repercussions to that.
Yeah.
That's not really true freedom.
Yeah. I suppose what I would be saying for this discussion is, if the law said that there were no repercussions and you could do anything you want with no repercussions, I guess that's how I'm talking about freedom in this case.
Sure, but you're still going to have, even without law, you're going to have repercussions.
Yeah.
I guarantee if somebody comes up and pulls on my beard real hard, they're going to have a repercussion,
Yeah.
or a concussion, whichever comes first.
There's that topic of beard.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
we were talking about earlier today about beards in our previous podcast show. I won't go into that, otherwise
yeah.
it'll take too long to explain. But yeah, that was our focus of discussion. So I'm going to continue with what I'm saying. I'm going to add more stuff, and again, I will get your response. I would say that you can look at freedom as being something that is not always good. For example, I don't want to be free from my friends. I don't want to be free from my family. I don't want to be free from the kindness, consideration, respectfulness of others. I don't want to be free from the happiness that others give me. I don't want to be free from laws that constrain people not to harm me. I don't want to be free from laws that protect my health. I don't want to be free from laws that protect animals and nature and the environment. I don't want to be free. I don't want to live in a society where there is freedom from laws that protect our well-being. I don't want to be free from the empathy of others, or from peace, or from love. So, the word freedom is not always this wonderful thing. And I'm not trying to make any point here at all, other than if you put freedom on a pedestal as an ultimate, and anybody that's taking away any of your freedoms is wrong and bad, well, no, we can be a bit more intellectual than that. We can be a bit more correct in our understanding that freedom is not always an ultimate. It's not something to put at the top of our list of priorities. Freedom and lack of freedom both can be tools to protect other things like, for example, peace. Do either of you have any comments to put on top of what I just said there?
I'm a victim of crime. And also being a police officer, I had to abide the law and their rights, along with the freedom that they actually got when they were incarcerated or when I was arresting. There's a point of freedom that you would get, you receive. Now, you have to be, but you utilize the word kind to the person that is, I'll say, perpetrator of a crime. Okay. But you don't want to be kind by allowing them to harm others or themselves too. Okay. You want to be kind, as you said, to the person that it is affecting them or going to harm them as a victim. In my situation, being a victim of crime, I had to be kind to save my life. I had to take these choices, make choices to be kind to the person that was trying to abduct me, rob me, and I knew possibly kill me in order to survive. Now, we're walking over a fence here, right? Freedom, it's like a tunnel, like here it is, and then it just broad spans in every direction. So this is a very large, expansive topic. I believe within myself that the constraints we have can also expand just like that in those spider veins. I'll call them spider veins of different territorial topics of freedom. It is very important to respect the freedom of others and their rights in law. That's why we have them. Now, as Roy had mentioned just a moment ago, a different type of freedom. I understand his point of view, understand where he's coming from, because in that sense, yes, our bodies, we are constrained. We're not really free. But we are, well, for those who are capable of having a comprehension and understanding of astral projecting, of being able to remote view, you're able to remove yourself your spirit body from your body, and now you're being delivered in the sense of having some sense or form of freedom. The last thing I'll say is that there is a caution, there's a line here, or for anybody really, that they have to be very careful, because that freedom of being able to act and to defend yourself, right, can turn around and have, like Roy said, there'll be a consequence. You can go to jail for enacting a freedom of right to defend yourself, even in the act of somebody trying to actually kidnap you, kill you, rape you, etc. Does that make sense?
Am I right, Laura, that the law permits reasonable force?
You must, and undoubtedly you must prove without a reasonable doubt a use of force. And there's 5 levels of that. I won't go into that. But you must be able to prove that you had no choice because you were going to die. And here's the other side of that, and I say this with due respect, that when I operated courts, I arrested the victim for defending themselves because the perpetrator sued them for like charges of assault, battery, or they claim attempted murder, but it got turned to some other topic. Okay. I'm not a lawyer. Okay. So I'm not trying to say this is the law. and every state is different. That's why I guess you'll say our United States, the states hold their own individual laws. And then there's the federal. Okay. And that's as far I'm going to go with that. But as a victim, you actually can be charged.
Yeah.
So you must be sure of yourself and stating that you had no choice.
Yeah. Roy, do you have anything you'd like to add to all of this?
Sure. Yeah, I was a correctional officer out in the state of California, worked in the prisons out there.
That's a pretty major, the concept of freedom in a prison. I mean, that's a pretty major concept. I mean, I'm sure that many of the people in that prison wanted their freedom, and you were in a position where you were enforcing, I suppose, a lack of freedom. Did you feel that you were doing the right thing?
Yes, I was blessed to get involved in what's known as a medicine circle out there. And one of the elders, a Choctaw fellow correctional officer, introduced me to this medicine circle because I had kind of gotten off of my path. And so he brought me to the circle, and he introduced me to grandmother who the white-haired ones remembered her as a white-haired. She's extremely old, very wise. She looked me up and down, and she turned to my friend, and she said, without even speaking to me, without even acknowledging me there, had said to him, he has to learn how to let go of judgment, and I do not want to see him back here until he does. So it took me a whole year of learning about judgment while working in this prison and what judgment is and is not. Once I learned how to let go of judgment, meaning right or wrong, that according to society's laws, if an individual wanted to stay out of prison, breaking a law is not the right thing to do. Judging that person as being wrong for making that choice is not up to me. The society has created the law. He made the conscious choice to break that law, and he came to jail. I have to work right next to this individual. If I feel my heart full of hate and anger and judgment for him, it's going to create a very tense environment. I had to learn how to treat everybody with respect, no matter what they were convicted of. They're still a human being.
Mm-hmm.
They still have rights. Even the most atrocious crimes human beings can commit on one another. I still had to let go of judgment.
There's a word that both of you have used 2 or 3 times, and that is rights.
Mm-hmm.
This is rights, and the concept of rights is linked to freedoms. I'm going to talk a little bit about rights, and again, I'll get your impression on what I say about rights. I think there are different definitions of rights. One definition is that a right is something that we're legally allowed to do. We have the right to do something because the law says it's okay, or the law says it's not illegal, e.g. Freedom of speech. We have the right to say stuff. to say what we want to say. Another definition of a right is that it's some kind of a fundamental thing that we're somehow born with, that's somehow thought of as a fundamental part of the fabric of the universe, that we're allowed to do something. We're born with a right to whatever it is. One example I came up with for that was some people feel that we have the right to kill and eat animals. There's another definition of what a right is, and that definition comes from the word right. What is morally right? A right is something that is morally right. And those, different people will use those different words in different ways, and it can be a little confusing. What I would say is we have to be careful not to let the legal definition of a right make us think that it's right to do things that are morally wrong, but within the law.
Yeah.
Some things are legally right. We have the right legally to do them, but it may not be morally right to do them. The main example I often say is that, it might be legally, we might have the legal right to say offensive things to people, to be disrespectful to people. But that doesn't make it morally right. So I do think it's wise for people to set their moral standards higher than falling back on the idea that a right is always right. A legal right is always right, because a legal right is often hasn't reached that level of being morally right. Do either of you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. I agree with that part of what's legally right is not necessarily, oftentimes, not morally right. It's like the pharmaceutical companies have a legal right to make addictive painkillers.
Yeah.
Is it moral?
No.
Right? The food companies have the legal right to put colored dyes that are poison to the human body in food.
Mm-hmm.
Is it morally right? So yes, there's huge difference between what is morally right and legally right. That's why I for myself, the phrase "do no harm" comes to mind. You do no harm. You have free will to do what you want as long as you're not harming someone else or other sentient beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what, another thing that pops in my head too is what you do to me is your karma.
Mm-hmm.
My reaction to that is my karma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that just because it's a law that you're allowed to or can do something, but like you say, with the pharmaceutical companies, the food companies, the makeup companies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is it moral? because they are hurting people. Look at the lawsuits with all these people. Look at the deformities that are happening in birth and over time, cancer and so forth.
Yeah.
It seems like the morals of being right for the health and well-being of others is absolutely unchecked. And it's almost, to me, it's disgusting. It really truly is. And it's a grand misfortune to everyone because unfortunately there are many people who are naive to what's happening to the food, to the products that we ingest for medications, even the medications that we take that aren't addictive, but it's still hurting you. It is disgusting. I hope that one day everybody will, where it comes down to our planet, and this is part of freedom too, that we try to do our best to go to more of a holistic type of life, that we're doing the moral thing of saving ourselves and our planet and being conscious to the freedom of rights to let us know, because we should know and have the freedom of choice. Oh, you've got that in that product? I don't want to take it. Instead of being naive and uneducated of that product. So we go and take it. So to me, my freedom is being taken from me at that point.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a deep topic, guys.
It is. It
It's
is.
serious
This is
indeed.
rather a serious show,
Yes, it is a very serious show.
but that's okay. It's, you know, the point of this show is to make us think about things in a way that we gain a deeper understanding of how to interact with each other in a wise way. One piece of advice that I have given to people in the past about things like freedoms is I recommend that anybody consider whether or not there's any people or animals or other conscious entities in this universe whose peace or well-being or happiness is being diminished by our actions. If there are any conscious entities out there whose well-being would be increased if they were to be free from us, free from our actions, our words, or our presence. I know personally that there are people in this world, in all areas of life, whose impact on me is negative, and that my life would be improved if I could be free from others in this world. And you know, I can sit at home and mope about how unpleasant that is, but you know, honestly, I can't really do much about it. There's a lot of negative people out there, but what I do have the power to do is to think, is there anybody out there whom I have the power to make happier by giving them freedom from me? And I think wise people might consider that question, because I don't want to be hurting others.
Yeah.
I don't want to be reducing the well-being of others. And if there is anything that I can do to help people who don't want my influence on them in whatever, you know, my negative impact on them, then I you know, I would be happy to enable them to be free from me. So you know, I think that's one thing we could ask each other, ask ourselves.
I agree. I totally agree. Roy, I really appreciate all of what you said tonight. I mean, it's a deep topic, and coming from corrections, I understand where you're coming from. I've been in that path, and I value your opinion
Thank
and
you.
your education, and I respect that you've come forward to speak your piece, your value on what you're thinking, your heart and your soul on the topic. It's imperative, it's important, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I appreciate both of you as well. And to comment on what you had just said to Rupert about people or beings better off with or without us, you have to, for myself, I have to vibrate. And if you look at things in a vibratorial rate and you're raising your vibration, and the way you're raising your vibration is by helping people and being kind and just being a good person, and you are raising your vibration, that's going to raise the vibration of others around you, and it may even lower some vibrations of people around you because they may look at you in envy and jealousy
Mhm.
and things like that, and that lowers their vibration, and that, my friend, is their choice.
Exactly.
We might not agree with it,
Right.
but because it's their choice, we need to honor and respect their choice. Doesn't mean we have to have them over for dinner, but we can show love for them and compassion. And we can love and have compassion for those individuals over there, way over there. I can love you from a distance
Yes.
Right.
because what you do does not help me to fulfill how I want to experience my life. You're not wrong for being the way you are. You have that right. You have that choice. You will suffer the consequences of that, but not through me because I don't want that karma. I'm just going to do me, be love and light and peace, help those that I can. And if that somehow creates a negative vibration in you, um, sucks to suck. I don't, well, it's your choice,
Right.
but you don't need to come over here and rain on my parade. I'm happy in the sunlight. You go over there with your clouds and your self pity and your self worth. Now, if you want my help, I can help you. I'm not going to force my help on you, but I can help you.
I follow through by, if somebody is being affected negatively because of their concept, that's
Yep.
like you said, their choice. Okay. I just remove myself. I actually remove myself because I can't and don't want what I'm reaching for is a higher vibration to allow it to affect me, because I can't help that person. I've done that. I've been down that path thinking I can change their vibration, I can change their way. But see, it is a freedom of choice to want to change your way of thinking and your feelings, emotions, and the way of thinking. It's a vibration. It can go up, it can go down, and you do have the freedom to choose, and it is their right. But when it becomes a conflict where I feel like this is happening inside my spirit, I must, for my health's sake and my gift's sake, remove myself politely. Still talk to them, but remove myself. That is the only way that I can continue to change and grow, because I am still in this process of understanding what's going on within myself,
Sure.
of my surroundings, and everything else that I'm trying to do.
Yeah. The medicine circle I spoke of earlier out in California after after a few years being with them and learning many things, they gifted me the name Peacemaker. There's all kinds of ways to make peace. Some of it's noisy. Some of it's absolutely silent. And there's everything in between. But if your intention, that's the important part. Your intention is to be peace. Then just be peace. Trust in the universe. Great Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. What you put out comes back. What you send out returns. You walk that road. If you walk that path with that understanding, you can be in the middle of chaos. You can be in the middle of a prison riot where there's 30 on 30 and you're the only officer standing in the middle of it.
Yep.
And be at peace.
Be
Fighting like hell.
Yeah.
Swinging that side-handle baton for all it's worth. But be in peace.
Yeah. You definitely could be in the middle of a horrific storm, one of life, what I call a life storm. And if you can remain peaceful within yourself, your spirit, you actually are like that eye in that hurricane where it's super calm, but everything else around you is flowing crazy, chaotic. So yes, definitely agree.
Yep.
So I have a question for you two. Do you think that we as humans or other animals, other conscious life in the universe, do you think that we are somehow instilled with fundamental rights when we're born? I'm not talking about legal rights. I'm talking about some kind of universally assigned rights when we're born. Or do you think really there's no such thing as a fundamental universal right? Rights are just assigned by governments or people, or they're concepts that we give to ourselves, rights that we give to ourselves.
Go ahead, Roy.
Two rights. The right to live and the right to die. That's it.
For me, I'm going to answer your question here. For me, I can recall as far back as I can ever remember as a child. Nobody had to tell me. I knew what was morally wrong. It was instilled in me somehow, like I was born with knowledge, knowing that this is right and this is wrong. This could harm. This will not harm. I'm not positive at all about anybody else, but a theory of mine is, yeah, I believe it is built in our DNA, our human structure, that we actually do have this ability. And maybe because we've evolved as human beings, but I can remember as far back as memories that, I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. My daddy is going to get a hold of me. My mom is going to put me in my place. I knew without being told. So I believe that it is built in us, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, listen, you two, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. You both have had extraordinary lives full of profound, intense experiences. And from those experiences, and I guess from within yourself as well, you've both derived large amounts of wisdom. And it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Did I just see an animal jump into the... Whoa, there's an animal. Don't know what that is. That's not Roy's beard. What was that?
Sirens are here.
They're all over the place. Every time I see a cat, it's a different color.
Aw.
But thank you both so much for participating in this show. I value you both greatly.
Thank you, Rupert.
It was my honor, my friend. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you both.
Yes, it was a great honor.
And I would like to thank everybody who is listening to this show. I really appreciate you caring about the subjects that we talk about on this show. Peace, love, and happiness to you all. Take care. Goodbye. And I will see you next week.
Much love.